So England are through to the semi-finals of Euro 2024, where they will be facing the Netherlands. Now, they've obviously gotten through that game with the Swiss, so we'll just quickly go through that because it still wasn't brilliant, was it? Let's be completely honest. So when it came to the first half of that game against the Swiss, I will be honest, I do think it probably is the best 45 or first 45 minutes of football that England have played all tournament, bar that first game against Serbia, where they went 1-0 up and looked amazing until they started defending. Generally speaking, that Swiss side was very hard to break down, wasn't it? Obviously, they were essentially playing a back five. There was no real sort of cohesion or any way to sort of actually break them down. They're very solid, a lot of very good individual players. And honestly, they should... Feeling disappointed is the wrong way of putting it, but they should feel a little bit hard done by that they've gone out on penalties when you look at the game as a whole. But, yeah, generally they look like significantly better. Again, Foden started moving into the 10, which he's been doing the whole tournament, but it actually looked as if it was working a bit more this time, so, you know, all happy there. And then Saka, down that right-hand side, obviously gets the goal in the second half, but he was beating that left-back all ends up, like the Swiss or the left wing-back, and, you know, the combination between that and the left centre-back. He was getting in there and creating chances a lot, which the number 9 was not getting anywhere near, Mr. Harry Kane, but that's another little topic of this video in a second. But overall, the team looked so much better. I think Mainoo looked great again in the middle of the park, able to sort of shift the gears from defending to attacking really well. So, all in all, I think it was half decent. And I think the Swiss manager noticed that as well, because after that first 45, he made changes. Like, okay, a little bit further in, around 60-minute mark, but he saw that the game was slowly being taken away from the Swiss, and he changed it up, and it worked immediately. And this is what I despise about Southgate football, is that he does not change it quick enough. We saw those subs happen for the Swiss, and they started getting a real firm grip on the game. And it was only when they scored that Southgate thought, fuck, should probably do something here, shouldn't I? And then made his own changes, which ultimately did impact the game and get us to score, right? Even though it was Saka doing it again, already on the pitch, of course. But it needed that little bit of just panic, almost. I don't know how else to describe it. He needed to wait for the game to nearly be gone before he acted, which he done again against Slovenia. No, not Slovenia, Slovakia, sorry. You know what I mean. We waited and waited and waited and waited. Then Bellingham obviously done his thing, and then he made changes, and it's madness, it's mind-blowing. I think there was some sort of weird statistic that he makes the fewest amount of subs after the 66th minute. That's bonkers when you look at the squad that they've got. They've got so much talent in there that you can rotate it and make it work anyway. I can't see how it can't be a success. And I mean, so far, technically it is still being successful, but it's not going in the way where we all want it to go, is it? But yeah, obviously Switzerland got on top, made those changes, and again, we did end up getting caught out, essentially, didn't we? It was nice to see Luke Shaw come on, I will say. It was nice to see Southgate actually, you know, warrant taking the bloke, like 5 games in. At least he got some minutes under his belt. I don't think he should be starting. Frankly, I don't see how Trippier is starting left-back, mind you. The fact that... Again, there's no bias to this, but the fact that Trent isn't in that team is a piss take. It really is. I mean, Trippier's just been so poor. I can't get over it. He's been just... He's so slow. I don't think he's past it. I just do. And maybe that's Trent agenda on my part, but I can't see how he would do any worse of a job than what Trippier is currently doing out there. But anyway, we make it 1-1, don't we? Saka scores a lovely goal. And again, it's individual moments of brilliance which is saving Southgate at the moment. They just are. You had Bellingham, you had Saka. You're relying on these players to get you through. And that's fine, but eventually luck runs out with those things. Which, again, I would say it nearly did extra time, to be honest with you. Obviously, we went into it. First half of that extra time, nothing really happened. And then in the second half of it, Shaqiri nearly caught us out with that corner, which was honestly quite impressive. That would have been an incredible goal if it had gone in. Luckily it didn't. But it looked as if the game was going to fall away from them again. I don't remember England making too many chances really in extra time, despite making the changes that they did. Speaking of the changes that they did make, Harry Kane, right, let's get onto it. That man is not fit. He should not be playing for England currently. He doesn't look fit. He just looks done. I don't know how else to describe it. And the main thing I can't understand is, why do you keep him on for so long? For 2 main reasons. A, because he doesn't look fit and he looks knackered. B, you have 2 really good options in Watkins and Toney, which you could quite easily play instead. and get more out of them. They're both got bags of pace, bags of energy. You'd get more out of that front line if you played those instead. And I honestly think he should be dropped because he's looked woeful, genuinely. But Southgate persisted with him to, the 105th minute? Something like that? I think it was around that second half of extra time where he subbed in for Trent. And why did he do that? Did Kane not want to take a penalty? Because we've all seen the Trent video, somebody didn't fancy taking one. I wonder if that's maybe a reason behind it, because you think if you play your golden number 9, the bloke who scores all your goals and is so amazing for that long, that they would be jumping at the bit to take a penalty. I personally don't think he fancied it. I think that's the reason why he was taken off, because after that long, you might as well just keep him on because you know he's good at penalties. I think he knows himself he's not fully fit and he's not at it, and that's probably why he ended up getting substituted. By the way, getting onto the crux of this video, penalties happen. And this is the whole vibe and the whole sort of boost from winning on penalties genuinely makes me think that England are going to make the final, regardless of how good the Netherlands might be in this game. And it comes down to one word, and it's mentality. The people that took those penalties are winners. They're experienced enough to know what that means, but not too experienced to fear it, if that makes sense. When you look at who went up and took them, you've got the likes of, Cole Palmer, off the back of an incredible season, won everything with Man City, like Chelsea's talisman, bang, 1-0. Jude Bellingham, bloke's going to win a Ballon d'Or, isn't he? Realistically, sometime in the near future. Just won a Champions League and La Liga and all that good stuff. Bloke's been immense. Pickford in goal, making a nice easy save early on, already gives you an incredible boost, doesn't it? Look, I don't like the bloke, but he is good at penalties, and you'd rather have a shit house on your side than off your side in that perspective. I remember, I think it was 2010 World Cup, where Tim Krul did something similar, where he'd approach the players and give it the big, and it works. It just works, and it's a little bit dark arty, but if you can get away with it, well, why would you not do it in a game such as that? And then what? Bukayo Saka, the one that everyone was a bit nervous about, I was nervous about him taking it, slots it away lovely, because it's 3 years on from that final where he missed, and he's grown into such a more confident player, and again, he, in effect, Arsenal talisman, I would say. He's their little star boy, isn't he? And they loved him, and he done bits. Tony, we know that he's just solid as anything at penalties. This whole no-look thing is a bit mad, but whatever. It works. And then you've got our star boy, Trent. There was no doubt in anyone's mind, I feel like, when he went to step up and take that penalty, he was going to miss. Because he's been there, and he's done it in high-pressure situations. And that is what will get Southgate towards that final. These players don't fear it's to them it's another game. You've got these players that have been in the biggest finals in the world of football. They don't care, they're past it. There's no sort of fear behind them, and it's brilliant to see, and I genuinely think that that's going to be the main reason that they actually do beat the Netherlands in the semi-final. Just a quick word on the Netherlands, because again, they obviously have also warranted getting to a semi-final themselves, beat Turkey, beat Romania. I think they came second in the group, maybe? They had the group of death, didn't they, with Austria and France in it. They've looked, in my opinion, they've looked a bit inconsistent. But then England have looked bollocks, so realistically, what difference does that make? From, again, slightly more personal perspective, it's nice seeing Cody Gakpo shine. I hope he can replicate that form into a Liverpool shirt and play off that left-hand side and look as good as what he has looked. But in terms of the way that they've been playing football, again, solid at creating chances, a little bit rickety at the back, I would argue. Again, obviously, big love for Van Dijk, but it doesn't look as if that entire back four is having the best tournament. I like the fact that they seem to sub on Van der Ven a lot if there's any sort of issues with pace up front. I'm wondering if we'll maybe see him play against England. Not if Kane's on the pitch, but if we bring on the likes of a Palmer or a Gordon. The poor fucking Gordon can't buy a minute at the minute, but if you see that pace come in, I think you're going to see him slot in as well on the back line and just try and cover that up. But and maybe it's just me, but I'm personally more confident that we will beat the Netherlands than I was that we were going to beat the Swiss. I feel like the Swiss were performing better in the tournament than what the Dutch have been, despite obviously not making it through. Maybe that's just me, maybe that's slightly harsh on my end, maybe I haven't watched them with quite the astute eye that maybe some of the Dutch fans have. Let me know in the comments if I'm really sort of wrong on that and they have been playing really well, but it looks as if they're doing just enough to win games. Like Turkey, if they'd have taken their chances, could have quite easily won that game, or at the very least pushed it to extra time. Romania, I'd be honest, I didn't see much of the game. It looked as if Gakpo just kind of ran the show a little bit. But in the group stages, again, they got beat by Austria, kind of somewhat comfortably, if you know what I mean. Like, Austria were always sort of in control of that game. The French game, they were a little bit unlucky. I feel like that 0-0, I mean, that shouldn't have been a disallowed goal, in my opinion. They should have won that game. So, there's pros and cons to it. I think, I've seen a lot of people saying it's sort of a 50-50. I can kind of get behind that. But I do just feel like with the sheer attacking talent, and, well, not even just attacking talent, just the talent all throughout the vein and spine of that squad, if you go from front to back, I really feel like England will have this in the bag, and they will be, probably, if I had to guess, playing Spain in the final. Shout out my boys again. But that's what I'm thinking with it, personally, and fingers crossed I'm right, because despite how much I despise Southgate, I would like to see England actually win something. So, fingers crossed for that. But that's it for this one. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that England's mentality will carry them through and they can now get to a final and fingers crossed win one? Or do you think the Dutch are going to do it? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe if you have enjoyed these videos. And yeah, thanks for watching.